Hey guys, I'm back. So the big thing I want to talk about today is a question I see often on travel nurse forums is the new nurse just graduated, however they phrase it, should I travel? And the majority of the answers are no, and some of them even go into further why. So I will explain my experience yesterday right now. So yesterday was my last day of orientation, scheduled to be 8 to 5 or 8 to 4:30, and with an hour lunch, blah blah blah, because we weren't really we were working on paperwork and just learning different things um, related to patient care, like glucometers and whatnot. But yesterday was my first day in the ER, and the idea was that I would shadow a nurse so I could learn their systems, policies, procedures, equipment, and charting, which wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It's still not as good with the flow, even as Meditech went more stilted, a lot more steps to chart. But I got it done, so it was no big deal. The nurse instead wanted me to take patients, and she would basically look over my shoulder while I was charting, not while I was actually doing patient care. I lucked out. A lot of the equipment my previous facility used, this one uses as well. So the Philips monitoring system, they use the 5 lead instead of the 3 lead, but same difference. The other thing was the Zoll defibrillators. Didn't have to use it, but it's nice to know that in an emergent situation, if we have to use it, I'm not going to be like frozen if that's my job to defibrillate the patient. Yesterday was very busy, and so when the nurse I was shadowing left at 2, she was only working a half shift. There was no one to relieve her. There was no extra staff to come and assist. We did have a triage nurse, and there wasn't anyone to triage at that moment. However, we were flighting out several by then, and coordinating that is difficult because you have to find a receiving facility. Most everyone's COVID positive down here, and I'll touch on that in a moment too. And then you have to find out who's going to take them. So the ambulance service on the res, they were busy. They couldn't transport these patients, so we were having to call fixed wing. We have lots of options, but they get busy. So it's a big coordinating challenge. And we have a unit secretary, but she's one person. So the triage nurse, who's very experienced in all of this, was helping her. So when the nurse I was following left, I was just at that point working. So the next 5 hours, I did ask nurses, either the triage nurse or the one that was sitting next to me, to come over every so often just to check my charting, especially when it came to discharges or like getting them off and out of the system. I wanted to make sure everything was done. I would have hated to have completed my charting and all that and missed something big. But I did it. I got it done. But that's why you can't be a new nurse and go straight into traveling. Even in bigger facilities with better staffing, you're not getting the full orientation precepting. My last facility, I had 10 weeks of following a nurse every day and having someone right there. And that was their only job, was to just be there with me. They were never expected to take patients outside of being with me. And that's very important for a new nurse, to have that person that they can ask the stupid questions to and trust in that position. Now, I could have asked any question to these nurses and it would have been fine, and I did often ask a lot of questions, but you adapt and you overcome, and that was fine. But if I would have been a brand new nurse, that would have been awful. But again, it was a good shift, good patient outcomes. Doctors weren't at any point like, what is this girl doing? It was fine. But yes, so COVID is ramping up here pretty intensely. So the reservation's actually shutting down Sunday through Wednesday. And since most of you don't even know what that is, I'll touch on it too. So when they do their shutdown, everything's closed down this time because it is over a short period. So there's 2 gas stations that may be open 10 to 2 is what I've heard. Everything else is shut down. People may not leave their homes, not even a little bit. Except for like emergency situations, you're driving to the ER, the cop's like, okay, let's go. But yeah, so that's going to be an interesting experience. Obviously, essential personnel can go in too. So I did a bunch of grocery shopping today to stock up, just to make sure. There was no run on toilet paper, okay? These people are smarter. They, I don't know, guys. They just didn't, it wasn't chaos. And they expect it too. The few people that were talking about it, they were like, no, this is good. We need to slow this spread down. And we're absolutely like supportive. And these were like people working today. So it's like they're going to lose out on this paycheck, but it needs to happen. And they understand that social responsibility. So kudos to them. And if you find that controversial, check yourself, because there's something wrong if we can't help others in this world. Small sacrifices are big. But you all stay safe out there, because I've heard numbers are ramping up countrywide. So stay safe, really stay safe. I hope we can handle this better. I really do. So again, any questions, feel free to comment. My dad made the comment that I wasn't speaking loud enough in the last one, so Mark, if you're listening, I hope this was better for you. Okay, see you later, guys.